North.
South.
North Series.
We're running the South.
USAR, America's greatest short track racing series, is going north, creating two divisions, north and south.
A lot of action, a lot of fun, a lot of new tracks, a lot of good stiff competition.
South's going to be fast and furious this year.
The Southern Division is led by two-time champion Bobby Gill and Steve Christian, the '99 Rookie of the Year, who won the last race of the 2000 season and is hungry for 2001. The tough and competitive Southern Division keeps on rising and will not let anyone get in their way. But going north is last year's Rookie of the Year, Brian Vickers. Hungry, rising talent make up the Northern Division, who want to show the South they can be outdone. At the end of the season, 25 of the best from each series will meet in 5 races for the championship. America's greatest short track racing just got better. Welcome to United Speed Alliance Racing and the Hooters Pro Cup, America's greatest short track racing series. We're ready to start the 2001 season with the Naturally Fresh Foods 200. Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Brian Trevor, my new co-host, a man who has been with this series since it began is Gene Crane, and down on pit road will be motorsports legend David Sadowski, most of whose exploits are on 2 wheels. Hey, he's got twice as many as he needs now. Everybody's excited about this year.
Think about this north-south rivalry.
I think that's great. The Busch North cars are really needing some other type of venue to be able to race. The Northern racing divisions, unfortunately, don't have as much offered to them as the Southern divisions, and hopefully a lot of spillover will happen for Hooters with the division up north, have a lot of influx of the Busch North cars.
Before we get started, we can see what lies ahead of us with 10 more races added but divided into 2 divisions. Each driver has to declare whether he's going to compete in the Northern or Southern Series for points. Think of that as the regular season. Then the playoffs are the 5 races at the end of the year called the 4 Champions Challenge. More races, more money, more drivers fighting for the bragging rights, and that includes Brian Vickers, last year's Rookie of the Year. He's driving up north, and the champ, Bobby Gill, in the Southern Series.
It's more or less the same. We ain't got no tricks. We just come out here and try to win and do the best we can do.
We're going to try to get as much seat time as possible because that's what it's about, and we're trying to learn, and I'm trying to get experience.
Tell us about this racetrack. What's the secret of going around here fast?
I don't know about that. I'm going to try to find out here in about 200 laps.
Gene Crane, we're looking forward to this with a lot of excitement, and already the excitement is building in this north versus south battle because we've had 4 northern drivers qualify in the top 10. Of course, they are familiar names.
Indeed, they are. Brian Vickers leads that charge for those northern drivers.
Former champion Jeff Agnew is there, and of course Bill Plemons, who was a mainstay in this series. Hey, stay with us. We'll be right back. The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series is brought to you by Hooters Restaurants. Hooters, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. By Naturally Fresh Dressings. It's not just our name, it's our promise. By Jackaroo Sauces. Jackaroo tastes so great they named a steakhouse after us. By Miller Lite, the great taste of a true Pilsner beer. And by Lucas Oil Products, the official lubricant of USAR, and a worldwide leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants. The Naturally Fresh Foods 200 is set to begin the 2001 Hooters Pro Cup season of USAR Racing. Let's go downstairs and talk to the top qualifying rookie.
What's going to be the secret to staying out of trouble since you're at the front?
I hope I can stay there. I mean, that's always the main thing. These things get pretty wild. This is my 3rd race, and those weren't too bad, but I've seen some that are pretty fun. So we'll have to back up and just ride and see if we can stay here.
Well, that smile on your face shows me that you really enjoy getting back behind the wheel.
I do. I look forward to the whole year of Hooters Cup racing. Have a good time.
All right, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, we're smiling up here too, Gene Crane, and I think there are a lot of smiles breaking out on pit road because it's a 200-lap race here at Lakeland this year instead of a 250.
Really changes the strategy down on pit road. These teams are really going to have to pay attention to tire management.
Chevy driver Toby Robertson knows about that.
Well, everybody else has got the same scenario I do, so there's no real disadvantage or advantage. We're just going to look at see how the race plays out, and we may go 4, we may go 2 and 2. But you know, tire questions are always funny because people complain about tires, but they got the same situations as everybody on pit road, so there's really nothing to complain about.
So if you guess wrong is when you start complaining.
Yeah, the only person who can mess up is us.
Well, we'll be watching the tire management strategy, and everybody's going to be watching the back bumper of our A-Plus Mini Mart pole sitter, Mario Gosselin.
Our A-Plus Mini Mart pole award winner, Mario Gosselin. Mario, looks like you got the 10 really jamming around here with pole position.
Well, this Carter Granville Eastern Metals Polar Guard Ford is really running good today. Billy Hess chassis, automotive specialist motor, and hopefully we can keep it out front for the whole race.
Mario, how'd you pull off that quick time? Just getting a good run on the first lap?
Well, actually, first lap's kind of feeling the car out. You're on new tires and get everything up to speed, get some heat in the tires, and really work on getting a good second lap.
Were you satisfied with the setup, or will you be making some big changes on the first stop?
We were a little tight, actually, qualifying, so you may see us making some changes on the first stop.
Our A-Plus Mini Mart pole sitter, Mario Gosselin, has done that now 17 times in his career, twice as many as anybody else. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Autumn.
And I'm Jessica.
We're from Hooters of Lake Buena Vista.
And welcome back to the USAR Hooters Pro Cup.
Thank you, girls. Now let's go down track side for Grand Marshal Crawford Kerr to start them up.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
All right, Gene, that's the moment we love to hear. And it's an awful nice evening down here in Lakeland, Florida. Great way to start off the 2001 season Hooters Pro Cup.
41 cars finally rolling off the grid. It's been a long winter for many of these teams. They're ready to go racing, and we're ready to go racing. Fans have filed into this speedway with temperatures at 69 degrees, track temperature only 75, so tire management is not going to be a hard issue to chase as long as you've got the car set right.
Fans love the Florida spring weather. The drivers love this track.
Well, this track, you know, like I said, it's got long straightaways. Corners are pretty tight. Corners are more like a half-mile track, so you really race in the corners, and you scrub off a lot of speed in the corners. But yeah, when you dive it off, getting in, you're really rolling.
Basically, if you got a good car that's working, you go in that corner, you let your gear back you down, and you just turn along that bottom. It's just what you're really waiting to do as a racer is watch the car, waiting for the nose to nose down so you can hammer back into gas. But it's like figuring out your way to go down on one end and then turn around and go the other end. In a way, it's like barrel racing with cars on horses.
The barrels are represented on each end by 14-degree turns here at USA International Speedway, and up to now, this is the largest track the field will see throughout the 2001 season. We'll see a bigger one later.
Take a look at the guys up front. They are led by Mario Gosselin in our Jackaroo Sauces starting grid. Brian Vickers is outside of row number 1. Remember, he's a Northern Series driver. We go back to row number 2, and we already met rookie Neil Browder. Next to him, Jeremy Bowser with a good qualifying effort in the Executive Racing School Ford.
In row number 3, Steve Christian moves to the 16 car, the Lucas Oil Chevrolet, for tonight's event. Alongside him, former champion Jeff Agnew in the number 73. In row number 4 on the inside, Bill Plemons Jr. in that familiar number 15 Hooters Ford, and alongside him, Shane Huffman, the Johnsonville Bratwurst Ford Taurus.
Another Northern driver in the top 10 is Regan Smith, a rookie last year, and Hal Goodson. Boy, what a half season he had last year. We're expecting great things out of him. Pair of rookies on row number 6, Dale Murphy in the Jackaroo Sauces Chevy, and Toby Robertson alongside him in the TWR Motorsports car.
Mark Nesbitt will line up on the inside of row number 7, starting 13th. He's out of Asheville, North Carolina in the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Chevrolet. Alongside him, Jay Fogelman climbs on board the Premier Motorsports Ford number 8. In row number 8, Marty Lindley and the Alleluia Ford on the inside. On the outside of him, Mike Laughlin Jr. in his number 7 Ford.
Row 9, California driver John Kinder in the Multimedia Graphics and Products Chevrolet. Buggy Pletcher out of Pinellas Park, Florida in the Mulbauer Motorsports Chevy. And row number 10 then is Curtis Davis and the TwisterCards.com entry, and the grandson of Tiger Tom Pistone next to him.
Row number 11, we'll see the man that set fast time 1 year ago here. Stacy Burrier starts the Black Tire Service Chevrolet on the inside. Alongside him, Daniel Johnson in the Hartwall and Paver System Chevy. Keith Woody will start the number 83 on the inside. That's the BASF Bassafil Fiber Chevrolet. And Bobby Gill, the two-time defending champion, in his Ford number 5.
Row number 13, Lee Tissett, who picked up wins last year in the 2000 season. Alongside him, Jason Sarvis, who made some appearances. He's in the Naturally Fresh Food Chevrolet. Back on row number 14, the familiar face of Derek Kelly in the Discount Auto Parts entry out of Auburndale, Florida. And alongside him, Shane Sieg from Tucker, Georgia.
The 179 starts on the inside of row number 15. That's R.D. Smith, the Hot Rod Magazine Chevrolet. Alongside him, first-time start for Billy Mowry out of Clearwater. Freddie Query makes his start in the Talmadge Motorsports Chevrolet from the 31st position of Don Satterfield, the Hawkshaw Blade Chevrolet number 1.
The 09 car of Jabe Jones out of Toccoa, Georgia, the McGee and Jones Motorsports Chevrolet, goes with Chad Mullis in the Mullis Drilling Service Ford. That's row number 17. On row 18 is rookie Kevin Sasser in the Sasser Motorsports Chevy, and John Curley driving that Team Concept 2001, number 44.
Row 19, Chris Gordon out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, the New Star Environmental Ford. He is joined by Joe Harrison Jr., the Harrison Automotive Chevrolet. In row number 20, Brent Sherman, a rookie, starts the number 18, the Serta Mattress Company Ford. Alongside him, Scott York in the Amsoil Synthetic Lubricants Chevrolet.
Northern Series rookie Neil Cox and the entire field paying tribute to 7-time Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt as pole sitter Mario Gosselin leaves the pole position open and then retakes his place. On boards tonight, the Naturally Fresh Foods car number 11, driven by Jason Sarvis, will be looking off the deck lid. He's starting in 26th position, so about a third of the field behind him. Starting 18th will be Buggy Fletcher in the Mulbauer Motorsports car. And we'll be looking through the windshield with Buggy. Pretend you're riding shotgun with the 51 driver. Stephen Christian, it'll take us a while to get used to him in a 16 automobile, but it is the Lucas Oil Products entry, starting in 5th spot inside row number 3, looking at just the first couple rows. So there is the entire starting field, and the real moment that we wait for. When the engines fire up, that's one thing. When they wave the green flag, that is something else.
Pace car heads to pit road, Brian.
Tony Bartolo is going to wave the green flag, and here we go. The first lap of the 2001 season is underway at USA International.
Mike Gosselin's going to get the advantage down in turn 1. Brian Vickers on the outside going to chase him off of the second turn.
That's row number 1, still trying to settle the issue of who's going to lead this thing early. With track position down on the inside, it is Gosselin, but Vickers, you know he wants to get there. 2000 Rookie of the Year, Brian Vickers, and we have to remember, this guy is still in high school, barely old enough to drive legally.
You know, I'm going to school for an engineer's degree, and I love math. I'm big into it, and there's a lot of it plays into it. I do a homeschool thing, and my teacher kind of plays racing into it. Like right now, we're instead of just using a physics book, we're using a physics book about racing, the dynamics of racing, the engineering, the whole deal. And I learned a lot about that, and it really helps me out on the racetrack, understanding the cars.
Well, it's a great thing when you can find a way to apply your education to what you do for a living at that age, isn't it?
Indeed it is. Jeremy Bowser now has closed in. He started 4th, his best ever start in the Hooters Pro Cup Series. He's up to 2nd, running real strong.
You got to look pretty deep through the record books to find Jeremy Bowser's name, and I think he's looking to change all that right here in one night. We're on board now with Stephen Christian in the Lucas Oil Products car.
Stephen riding right behind Brian Vickers. Everyone able to stay on the bottom of the racetrack with the exception of,
well,
Christian. It was Clemens getting by him real quick there.
Yeah, it looked like a Hooters car coming down on the low side, and we talked about, well, we heard, I should say, Clemens talking about making U-turns at either end of this racetrack. Problems for Tom Pistone. They'll keep track of him as he heads down towards pit road.
Looks like a right front tire might be down on that car.
Meanwhile, up front, Mario Gosselin still showing the way with 58 of Bowser in 2nd position right now. And you know Jeremy's got to be pretty excited about the way things are going. He's raced with the leaders before, but usually when he was a lap down.
He's got to look in that rear view mirror. Bill Clemens Jr. is really on the move. Bowser comes from a family of brothers that have all raced here at the Speedway, and when I went back through the record books earlier in the day, Bowser's name, he was quick in practice. his name didn't come up in any of the top 20 finishes in any division he had run at the Speedway. But he's running strong tonight, and he's got company with a next-door neighbor, Mario Goslin, who lives just down the road from the Speedway in Lake Wales, Florida.
Pinellas Park in Lake Wales, Florida, represented by the first two drivers here. And then it's a little bit of a gap back to Bill Plemons Jr. in third spot. Then you can see that Brian Vickers and Stephen Christian round out the top five, but they are somewhat in the distance. It's Plemons that's closing the gap here and going across to the leaders.
There's no gap now. Plemons has caught him. Bill Plemons seems to be the fastest car on the track right now, so you've got a trio of Fords. Goslin, first time I've seen him in his own Ford. We've seen him drive the Haskell Willingham Ford, the number 16 last year, but throughout his career, and I've followed this young man for 10 years, I've always seen him in a Chevrolet. Tonight, he's in a Ford, and he's going to campaign this Ford all season long.
Well, you don't have to have very good eyesight to follow Mario Goslin. He's always right where you can see him. We called him, along with Bobby Gill last year, the eye of the hurricane. You want to know which way the storm is going? Watch Goslin and Gill. Right now, Bobby Gill buried deep in the field. Mario Goslin showing him the way. On board with Buggy Fletcher again. Well, he's got a lot of writing on the dashboard there. Somebody's writing checks for Buggy this year. And off the back of Jason Sarvis in the Naturally Fresh Foods car in 26th position. He's moving up, got a couple of guys behind him there, and the field spread out a long way around the turn.
Still very early as we see the Tom Pistone car still moving very slowly around the Speedway. They've got more troubles than just that flat right front tire.
Goslin, Bowser, and now Plemons make up the front three, and one by one they're trying to get across the gap. Vickers not really able to close up a whole lot here. And Bowser getting a little bit of help from Plemons. We know that Bill Plemons is a very aggressive driver, and if you had to put a meter on a guy who wants to get to the front, he would peg it every time.
Bill Plemons Jr. looking for that elusive first ever victory in the Hooters Pro Cup Series. He's knocked on the door several times right here at USA International Speedway, but right now it looks like he's got something to bring to the party right now. Jeremy Bowser, he's not having a party at all. He's trying to hang on to the wheel of that race car.
Oh, the 81 car joining Pistone down on pit road. So some of the guys in the back of the field, that's Scott York's Oakwell Incorporated Chevrolet down on pit road.
Hood was up on that car, so it may be a short evening. There's Don Satterfield. He's got one of those new Carolina kit car bodies on that number one, looking pretty sharp as he rolls by, and directly behind him, Shane Sieg in his second ever start in the series.
Around the outside, the 139 of Sieg, and on the inside, the 86 car making a move on him, Chris Gordon out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, the New Star Environmental Ford, so a little bit of side-by-side racing. The leaders have spread out a bit, but Plemons is still working on Bowser up there. He wants the number 2 spot awful bad. Bill Plemons, a Northern Series driver, as is Brian Vickers behind him, and those two guys have been associated with one another through Vickers' rookie season. He always looked to Bill Plemons for a lot of guidance and help, as the veteran Plemons was willing to offer it. Plemons ducking down on the low line again. His car's working well down on the bottom.
Jeremy Bowser, he moved up and started to give a little that bump draft to Mario Goslin off of turn 2 last lap. Now he's on the outside. That's the hard way to make a pass here.
Well, Bowser challenging on the high line while Plemons is putting his money in Mario Goslin's bank, thinking the low line is going to work. Now he moves up behind Bowser thinking, okay, Jeremy, if you can get by up on the outside, I'm coming with you. And they're going to take the 1 and 2 spots, it looks like, away from Goslin. Jeremy Bowser getting into traffic is our new leader here at USA International. And that's got to be just about a first, if not a first, for the young man from Florida.
First green flag laps he has led in Hooters Pro Cup Series competition, and they are closing up on some lap traffic as they go into turn number 3.
Coming up on the 18 car, Brent Sherman out of North Barrington, Illinois. Sort of mattress entry. Sherman moves down, lets him go. The leader's coming by. Sieg, the next one that's going to go a lap down here in the 139 car. So some of the guys that started near the back of the field are in trouble already.
Shane Sieg pulls over and allows the leaders to go by. Saw some sparks, look like maybe the exhaust pipes on the right-hand side of that car might have been scraping going in turn 1 last time. Chris Gordon going a lap down. He is a rookie contender for the 2001 season in the Southern Division. He's got a lot of experience here in the Speedway in the Parts Pro Truck Series machines.
Chris Gordon started in 37th position. Sieg started 28th, so we are talking about guys who started near the back of the field, but obviously their setup is a little bit off even from what they qualified in. They're losing a tenth or two a lap here, and there you can see the time gaps between leader Jeremy Bowser and the third of a second to Bill Plemons Jr., while Gosselin and the rest have kind of slipped back a little bit. So the two faster cars on the track that move forward are showing their speed yet and still.
The trio of Fords and a pair of Chevrolets making up that top five, Brian. And Gosselin has dropped back considerably from Bowser and Plemons.
Putting Don Satterfield in the Hawk Sawblades #1 white car this year. Again, you mentioned one of those kit car bodies on there. The great veteran Don Satterfield started along with another great veteran, Freddie Query, who has made the jump to the Hooters Pro Cup Series in the 2001 season. There you can see Jeremy Bowser's best finish was last year at this same racetrack. Just missed the top 10. Bowser leading Plemons right now and doing a little bit better job even than the Warrior himself. And there is Bobby Gill. You have to go back and look for that black car with the green #5 on it every once in a while. We got a caution flag out on the racetrack and a number of cars involved, notably the 81 car, Scott York. We saw him down on pit road a while ago, and over in turn 4, he's got a little bit of a problem for himself going on there. Take another look at it. Right there in the top of the screen, we saw a couple of cars going around. The 83 car was involved, Keith Woody. From on board Jason Sarvis's car, we see a little bit more, and mostly what we see is Scott York's car going off the hook.
Keep us turned on. Stay tuned for more USAR Hooters Pro Cup Racing.
Welcome back to USA International. A little more action down on pit road under caution here as Neil Browder takes his car down to the attention of the crew. And he started in 3rd position, remember, top qualifying rookie. Out of the race already, though, Tom Pistone. Let's go down to ski. David.
Tom Pistone back in the pits here in the number 19 car. What happened out there, Tom?
Well, I consider it just a racing incident, but of course one of the guy who got into me's crew members had to come down and try to say it was my fault, but it wasn't. I was giving them plenty of space, and I guess they're wanting to just make sure they're not going to have anybody on their inside going in the turns down here at Lakeland or something, but I would have given them plenty of room, but the tape will show what happened. I didn't come up into him.
You had such a good thing going here, too. I guess that's why they have more than 15 races in the series.
Yeah, I mean, the car's not tore up by any means. That's just cosmetic damage. We'll have it ready for the next race, and we'll keep going from there. It hurts us when we're trying to get in the points early on, but now I guess we can just race for a win after the first race being knocked out.
Got a good attitude, buddy. We wish you luck in the next one.
Thanks.
Tom Pistone started 20th outside row number 10, our first casualty of the 2001 season. That'll be the answer to a trivia question. Here are the faces of the guys in the top 10 and where they started. You can see that the order is shuffled just a little bit as we go back to the green flag. And on the outside, of course, are the lead lap cars, led by Jeremy Bowser. Down on the inside, veteran Don Satterfield getting a little bit of a nudge, but he hangs on. Bowser and Plemons, color him gone again.
Stepping away from Mario Gosselin very quickly. Like the #1 of Satterfield might have got the left side tires down on the flat, and it upset the balance of the car coming off the corner. That could have been a big time problem for the rest of the field.
Well, without a real round of pit stops just yet, nobody's changed tires. There's been a little bit of attention to cars that needed it, but so far no real strategy has come into play. And there goes, well, that looked awful easy. Jeremy Bowser all but waved him by. Now, he might have done that. Anyway, Bill Plemons Jr. is now our leader. Second lead change, our 3rd car up front.
And a change for 3rd and 4th. Mario Gosselin last time off of 2. We saw the car get sideways, and Steve Christian in that 16 car went downstairs and went right by him.
You know, it sure is difficult to get used to some of the changes down there. Again, it's a good thing that Lucas is in great big letters on the hood of that car because we're used to seeing the 0 on the side of Steve Christian's automobile, but it is the Lucas Oil Products entry, and it's a number 16 this year. Bill Plemons Jr. out in front. Here's another look at the pass. Do we see any waving out the door? Nope. Bill Plemons Jr. just goes to the inside, and Bowser appeared to have just moved over and let him go. Maybe Bowser thinks that Plemons can take him even further away from the rest of the field.
Right, you just talked about Steve Christian moving to the 16 car. Last year, Steve's crew chief was Scott Sutherland. Scott Sutherland, now the crew chief for the number 7.
Mike Laughlin almost involved in a little incident a moment ago. Take a look at this. He held on. from on board Buggy Fletcher's car. Say hi, Mike. Well, they can't reach out and shake hands, so they do it with the bumpers every now and then. Mike Laughlin Jr. hanging on. Little love tap by Buggy Fletcher, who did get around him. Now you don't see that yellow number 7 anymore because Fletcher got by. Started 18th, running 13th, so Buggy's moving to the front on a familiar racetrack.
Watch out when Buggy comes to the front. Go back to September of 2000. He was in that photo finish with the 21 car of Derek Kelly. Lost the race by only 1/1000th of a second.
And the next race, they were teammates because Derek Kelly took Buggy Fletcher's backup car and ran it because Buggy was trying to sell it. He figured, hey, better to have it running than sitting in the garage. On board with Stephen Christian, behind Jason Bowser. Not sure if there was any contact, but they're getting close. And Christian wants that runner-up spot because Plemons is skating away. Jeremy Bowser, and his hands out the window. He's waving Christian by this time, and that time we saw it for sure. So I don't know, Jeremy's running in somewhat unfamiliar territory up there. Maybe he feels better with a couple of guys in front of him. I don't know. Right away behind the leaders, Hal Goodson's number 45 Taylor Motorsports car slowed down a little bit. Looks like the right front tire is down on Goodson's automobile. He was running 11th. Then we got more problems.
Joe Harrison Jr. spinning off of turn 2. Looks like everybody checked up in front of him, and Harrison nowheres to go.
Our second caution of the race is out right now. We're going to credit it to Joe Harrison Jr., who's facing the wrong way on the racetrack, but this is certainly the aftermath of the problem from Hal Goodson. His best finish here at Lakeland was 3rd, but he picked up a bunch of wins last year in only a half a season, leaving a lot of people scratching their heads wondering, how about if this guy had raced all year long? Here's another look. Yeah, Joe Harrison just hard on the brakes, trying to stay out of the back of the car in front of him. Around he goes. So, down to pit road goes Hal Goodson to the attention of the Carlin Financial crew. And we'll be right back with more from USA International in a minute. We're back at Lakeland, Florida's USA International Racetrack for the Naturally Fresh Foods 200. From on board Jason Sarvis Naturally Fresh Foods car. He started in 26th position. We're under caution here right now. That's why everybody's weaving and wobbling. They're not going that fast. Bill Plemons is leading this race, but take a look at what happened to him last year when he was leading.
Quite a battle down there. Andy Thurman, who went on to win the race, got into the left rear quarter. Little conversation whether or not Thurman came up or Plemons came down, but the result was the same. Plemons going around. He did not pick up that elusive first ever win.
The handsome guys behind the wheels of the leading cars right here, and you can see that things are still shuffling up a little bit. Shea Vogelman and Marty Lindley both coming forward as we get ready to go back to the green flag. Your leader is Bill Plemons Jr. on the outside. Jeremy Bowser ducks inside. He had recaptured the number 2 spot there briefly over Stephen Christian. Christian is now behind him in 3rd once again, but we sense that Christian will probably move up again. So Bill Plemons Jr. contesting the lead there with the lapped car of Don Satterfield. Dandy Don, one of the great veterans and one of the great personalities in this series, is always going to give those guys running up front plenty of room when he knows he doesn't have the car to race with them here tonight just yet anyway. We're still short of our first round of real pit stops. And Bill Plemons Jr. edging away once again from Bowser, whose car is still a little bit loose mid-corner. You can see him a half a groove higher than Christian.
Steve Christian continues to look into the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find a way around Bowser, but looks like this time Bowser plants it on the bottom going in. The car wants to push up. Coming off the corner, they work down that backstretch once again.
And a black flag was shown to Hal Goodson's car for coming down pit road when the pits were not yet open. So Goodson is going to have to take a stop and go penalty down there, and it is being administered as we speak. So now Hal Goodson will get back in the gas, and his problems have been compounded somewhat by pitting too early. The USAR officials right on top of the situation. Looking at the leader, Bill Plemons Jr. and our USAR field summary. There's a look at the next 5 guys. Shane Huffman doing a good job here tonight. Regan Smith We saw him start pretty well up into the top 10, started in 9th spot, and he's still hanging in there. Look at the 42 car as it goes by. Brian Vickers started outside row number 1, and he's been hanging around in the top 5 positions or so. Just biding his time.
He's getting quite a challenge from Jeff Agnew. On that restart, Agnew looked to the bottom side trying to find a way around several of the lead lap cars. They had the lap traffic of Don Satterfield in the way. Agnew looks like he's got a strong mount tonight as well. That car sticking on the bottom of the racetrack. Vickers, though, looks like his line, he's not abusing the tires. He's riding, putting some laps down before he goes racing at the end.
Jeff Agnew declaring himself for the Northern Series this year. Got his breakthrough win last year at Greenville Pickens. And after winning the Rookie of the Year and the championship the same year without winning a single race, that monkey is off his back. He finally did pick up a win and then had a terrific finish up for the season in the next 5 races.
He had a great season at the tail end of the 2000 season. He changed the chassis. They worked with that car. In fact, the car that he won with was a car he destroyed up at New River Valley Speedway earlier in the year. They went to Billy Hess, put a new front clip on that car, and that turned that team around.
Funny you mentioned Billy Hess as we're watching Bobby Gill, because every time Bobby Gill steps out of the car in victory lane, he says, well, I'd like to thank my Billy Hess chassis.
Right behind Bobby Gill is the 22 of Del Murphy, and that car is now being supervised by Bill Boger. Boger working on that car with Del Murphy, and Boger has been to a championship. He's been to a Rookie of the Year and had strong runs with several drivers here in this series.
Well, let's talk about Clay Rogers, who's not with us here tonight, but Clay Rogers and Bill Boger were a great team for last season. Full field rundown, our Goodyear full field rundown, take a great look at all of the drivers and where they started. We've seen the top 10 before, and they are still pretty much as they were before. But you're going to take a look all the way down. 11th place, Curtis Davis in the 00 car, a young driver looking for his breakthrough win. Buggy Pletcher, Mike Laughlin Jr., some familiar names. Derek Kelly in the 21 car running in 16th position. Lee Tissett, Stacy Purrier, you mentioned the pole sitter from a year ago here at Lakeland. And Keith Woody, Neil Browder, the rookie driver who started up front, sliding back through the field, having some problems here tonight. And then some new names and some new faces for the Hooters Pro Cup season 2001. We're seeing a lot of them. A little bit of attrition has taken its toll already. We saw Neil Cox go out early, Tom Pistone, and now John Kinder in the 08 car having mechanical problems. On board with Jason Sarvis briefly. And now from the bird's eye view, Bill Plemons looking like it's a qualifying lap here if you're a little bit tunnel visioned.
Clemens has definitely got a strong car here tonight. Looks like Jeremy Bowser, that number 58, has settled in somewhat. He's running a nice smooth groove. He's got Steve Christian behind him, but right now Steve apparently content to run in third. They've got a lot of distance between themselves and that battle with Mario Goslin and Brian Vickers.
Side by side racing going on for position as Marty Lindley takes a spot away from Shane Huffman in the number 84 car. Lindley had some pretty good results last year, but the results don't begin to indicate the kind of talent that Shane Huffman has yet to exhibit. He had a tough season in 2000, led only 4 laps in Hooters Pro Cup in his entire career, but we have great things coming from him. Another change of position here as Jeremy Bowser takes the spot and gives it up again now to Stephen Christian. In the 16 car, the Lucas Oil Products entry is back into the number 2 position. A long way behind leader Bill Plemons Jr., however. Problems down on pit row for the 139 car. Let's go to David Sadowski with Shane Sieg in the S&W Ford.
A tremendous amount of heat being generated underneath the hoods of these Hooters race cars. The 139 is Shane Sieg. His victim, a burnt spark plug electrode. The crew's got the hood up, trying to get it underway. They'll get Shane back out here in a moment.
Sometimes the simplest parts are the ones that do you in, and I've always been amazed how spark plug wires can jump off the tops of the spark plugs. You know, you hear about that all the time. A plug wire came loose. Just those little things are what will hurt you. Put men on the moon, we can't keep a spark plug wire hooked up.
Intense vibration under the hood. Of course, Shane Sieg, a rookie team. One of the lessons they're going to learn, how to get that car prepped so it will make the entire distance in these events.
Well, I also had one of the veteran crew chiefs, and I think it was Elvin Rector, tell me that sometimes when you put that spark plug wire on and it's cold, that little bit of air that's captured in there gets warm during the race and it'll just poop the thing right off. It'll just pop it right off of there. So they have to wire them down tight. Lots of side-by-side action, and a lot of it is rotating around the black number 5 car of Bobby Gill, and he is definitely heading towards the front. Ever since they did that qualify race ready rule last season, Bobby Gill always starts, it seems, in the back of the field, but you know he sets his car up for the race. Bill Clemens Jr. still leading, started in 7th position. Pole sitter Mario Gosselin is slipping back to 1st. Marty Lindley starts the next 5, and Curtis Davis has moved up into the top 10. Back downstairs now, David Sadowski is caught up with the crew chief for Bill Clemens.
Dale, you're looking pretty good out there, looking real good right now.
I'll tell you what, this Hooters scored. I tell you, we got us a good race car. This Burns Motorsports team, we've already raced 2 or 3 times this winter. We done won us a couple of races. Hey, these boys is hungry. Hey, they at that shop every day. Matter of fact, every night, you know. Hey, we all deserve this right here. We deserve this moment. And I tell you what, we're going to put Bill Clemens in victory lane for 2001's over with.
Caution on the racetrack here at Lakeland USA International. A problem out there, and the 18 car is involved. That's Brent Sherman, who started back on row number 10. And the 58 of Jeremy Bowser, who had been running 3rd. Heavy right front damage to his car, appears to be mostly cosmetic. But in any case, we're under caution flag, and Brent Sherman is out of his car, appears to be okay. Well, Gene Crane, now we can talk about pit stop strategy. A whole passel of cars coming in to the attention of their crews. On board with Buggy Fletcher, taking a look at the 51. He stops right on his mark. They carry the tires around the right side, and up it goes.
Goes directly ahead of Buggy. Sorry about that, Brian. Directly ahead of Buggy was Mike Laughlin Jr. He's having to park way out, away from the wall. It's going to make it a problem for the 51 to get out of his pit.
Dale Burns and the crew of the 15 car, top left of your screen. Jeremy Bowser's guys on the bottom left, and you can see the entirety of pit road there on the right.
Looks like Bowser's car, they pulled that headlight door away from the right front. Apparently not a lot of damage there. They're working on that sheet metal just a little bit more on Bowser's car. Trying to push that fender down a little bit.
Bill Clemens rolls out. Yeah, some big guy body work going on the 58 car there, and now the cars are coming down pit road towards the green flag once again. We saw Stephen Christian stayed out, as did the 10 car of Mario Gosselin. So Christian is going to become our new leader, and this is kind of interesting. Here's our next 5 races. We're going to be at St. Augustine, then at 5 Flags in Pensacola, so 3 stops in Florida before we go to Ace Speedway in Altamaha. And then the northern guys join us in Jennerstown, and the season goes on from there. South versus north. The regular season and then the playoffs is how we're kind of looking at it. Mike Laughlin Jr. hood up on the 7 car down there, crew chiefed, as we mentioned, by Scott Sutherland. Well, the first round of pit stops is over. We'll talk about a little of that when we come back. If you were really tall, this would be your view of USA International in Lakeland, Florida, but instead it is from high overhead the Speedway as we are getting set to go back to the green flag. Here are the faces of the new top 10. Stephen Christian, Mario Gosselin, and Shane Huffman, the top 3. And you can see a lot of guys that started way deep in the field by staying out have moved up. Brian Vickers was the first guy in and back out in 10th position. Green flag on lap number 69 with Stephen Christian the leader, pole sitter Mario Gosselin behind him, and the rest in a herd.
It's like Christian able to clear the lap traffic. Chris Gordon, that first car on the bottom of the racetrack, those cars 1 or more laps down, gets a pretty good jump over the 38. Now Kevin Sasser.
I got a problem with this 38 car being where he is. That was not a lead lap car, and could be that. Yep, there's a black flag waving for Sasser there.
Yeah, Sasser started on the outside line. Rookie mistake. That's going to happen. Started on the outside line. That's where the lead lap cars belong. He should have dropped down to the bottom side. He's going to have to visit pit road after that mistake. But he's got Mario Gosselin right behind him. And look at Steve Christian. He's gone. He's checked out. He's almost in another time zone.
Well, Well, Stephen Christian is a guy that has more lead lap finishes than any driver in current Pro Cup series. Bobby Gill has had more problems even than Stephen Christian. Christian's the guy we call Mr. Consistency. Finished runner-up in the series 2 seasons in a row. The first time he was Rookie of the Year. Last season he was just the runner-up. But he is a guy that really knows how to get it done when the laps count.
You know, Brian, there's one other thing that Steve Christian likes to do. His car is sponsored by Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil also puts up the halfway challenge money every time he picks that up. At least last year, he was just giggling all the way to the bank.
Likes to keep it in the family, so to speak. Christian, Gosselin, and Huffman, your top 3, with Regan Smith, a former Rookie of the Year contender. Jason Sarvis, Jabe Jones with a good run in the 09 car, started deep in the field. And there's Vickers in 10th position. Remember, he is the first of the cars that pitted. So the guys on the 42 car, the StewartWaterPumps.com entry, got a great job done in the pits.
You know, just ahead of him is John Curley. Now, John Curley's got a brand new crew, not because they all quit, they graduated.
Look at this mess. Whoa. Battle for 12th position, and guess who's in the middle of it? Bobby Gill in the 5 car, and he's definitely moving forward. Remember, Gill started 26th. Yo, and a big problem while we were watching. Look at this mess. Oh, Don Satterfield goes hard into the inside wall, but Clements, Vickers, the 57 of Joe Harrison is involved again, and we have got a melee on the racing surface here at USA International. Big problems for Joe Harrison Jr. in the Harrison's automotive car. And for Don Satterfield, the damage to his car is not obvious. It was the other side that went into the wall.
It's Billy Mowry's car, the 33 on the outside.
There's Vickers' car heavily damaged on the right rear. He's taken it directly behind the wall and knows that his car is hurt bad. Here's another look at it. Joe Harrison Jr. up into the wall, and everybody just piles into him. Don Satterfield somehow threads the needle right in front of Bobby Gill. Oh, wow. What could have happened was a lot worse than what did.
Looks like Joe Harrison Jr. got out of shape right in front of the field. Worst place. You know you're in trouble when you get sideways and you've got the rest of the field behind you. Look at Clements coming by.
Skis with the 42 crew.
Brian Vickers involved in a major wipeout out here. The crew just furiously trying to get the fender off of the right rear wheel. Brian Vickers, one of the hopefuls here today, up-and-coming rising star in the Hooters Pro Cup Series. The crew inspecting the condition of that tire.
Oh, there's more damage than just to Brian Vickers. Buggy Pletcher now with a cut tire. He's going down pit road, and this is a big, big problem at USA International. More when we come back. Stay with us. The safety crew with some attention to Joe Harrison Jr. And we also see the 33 car there of Billy Mowry up in the back. And take another look at the incident here. You can see that there was definite contact between Mowry's car that we couldn't see from the head-on view. So apparently Mowry in his first start in Hooters Pro Cup gets into the back of veteran Joe Harrison Jr. And that's when things started to go seriously amiss. Here's another look from head on. We saw this view. You can't see Mowry's car. You can see that of Harrison. Then you see Bill Plemons Jr. and Brian Vickers coming by. The damage already done.
Heavy damage. The amazing thing was Don Satterfield did not collect Bobby Gill or Shane Sieg as the one car shot across. Another shot.
You're going to see there's Satterfield, threads the needle just behind Shane Sieg and in front of Bobby Gill, and my heart stopped right there for those two guys. So Bill Plemons Jr. climbing out of his very heavily damaged race car, and instead of in the closing laps, Bill Plemons Jr. has been taken out early. Down to ski.
Track conditions under red where the crews are not allowed to work on the car. This is a safety inspection. The close watch being taking a look to make sure they don't do any improvements to the car, but this is a safety inspection by officials. But right now under red flag conditions, the crews are not allowed to touch the car, not even laying a finger on it.
Dan Aho with the watchful eye on the 42 crew there, one of the USAR officials. Crowd on their feet, of course, to get a better view of what's going on. And with this much happening, there is plenty going on. Back down to ski with Bill Plemons. Ski.
It's bad. We had a hell of a good car, a real good car. I want to thank Hooters, my crew. They worked all night long, every night this week. Clements give us a motor, this Lofton Hess chassis. Dale Burns clip.
What happened out there?
Some of the back marker cars, you know, we'd pitted early, get good track position. Me and the 42 car, we was coming up through there, and I'm sure he got banged too, I don't know. But it looks like the cars ahead of us that were racing, they didn't pit. They were just dicing it up there, just typical. One of them got loose off the corner because they were on older tires.
Nowhere to go?
Nowhere to go. I had nowhere to go. You can look at it on the tape. All the crew, they just happy as they can be, just nowhere to go.
Bill, better luck next time, buddy.
It just happens to you sometimes when you get in a pile. I want to thank Brooks, Mr. Brooks, Hooters, everybody. Fine racetrack, fine facility, and we're going to run the north. We're down here just racing with the boys, so we'll load it up. We won't be back out for points. But thank you. You guys do a good job.
Look for you at the next one.
Bill Plemons Jr. That's the risk you take, Brian. Come down pit road early to try to get that track position later in the race. You've got to come through that lap traffic to get back to the front.
Well, the strategy has yet to be played out to the checkered flag. We've got a lot more to talk about, and we want you to be here with us when we do. The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series is brought to you by Hooters Restaurants. Hooters, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. By Naturally Fresh Dressings. It's not just our name, it's our promise. By Jackaroo Sauces. Jackaroo tastes so great they named a steakhouse after us. By Miller Lite, the great taste of a true Pilsner beer. And by Lucas Oil Products, the official lubricant of USAR, and a worldwide leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants. The Naturally Fresh Foods 200 kicks off the 2001 season of USAR Hooters Pro Cup racing here at USA International in Lakeland. The Hooters girls startling a young man there with their stickers they're handing out. We're always happy to see the Hooters girls work in the grandstands. A little more activity down on pit road. Some cars coming to the attention of their crews, including Buggy Pletcher, who's got some damage, and the Mulbauer Motorsports entry starting in 18th position. Those guys are going under the hood while the crew of the 42 car pushes the StewartWaterPumps.com entry behind the wall. Let's go downstairs. David Sadowski is caught up with the crew chief on the 45 car, Colin Engel.
Colin, how's it going out there, buddy?
I tell you what, it's a little tough night tonight. Taylor Motorsports car, we qualified pretty decent, started 10th there, and we broke a wheel, had a bad vibration, the right front wheel broke. We got it, had to pit without a caution, got down, and then it drug the sway bar arm off. And tell you what, just a tough night. We're going to try to get it back together and just finish up tonight, and we'll be at St. Augustine, kick a little butt.
Well, that was a long list of problems there, and a smile at the end of the interview tells us that, yes, indeed, and we know that Hal Goodson and his guys in that 45 car will be back, and some butt will get kicked. Right now, though, we're still waiting for this one to set the tone for what's going to happen in the closing half. From over the deck lid of Jason Sarvis, Naturally Fresh Foods number 11 car. Welcome back to the Naturally Fresh Foods 200. And looking at the pace car, which is all that is in front of Stephen Christian, our leader here tonight in the Lucas Oil Products entry. Christian with an amazing record of consistency. Entered 40 races, completed 99.4% of the laps on the lead lap. He takes them back to the green flag with dust and smoke flying as they get on the gas after circling the track slowly there for a while. You can imagine that these things have gotten loaded up just a little bit. Lead lap cars smoothly underway, all behind Stephen Christian.
Brian, let's update everybody and let them know that Joe Harrison Jr., along with Don Satterfield, everybody A-OK after that big melee out of turn 4. We're back racing. A lot of dust being kicked up. Had some radiators that were compromised in that crash. A little bit of oil, a little bit of water on the racetrack. They had to mop all that up before we could get back to racing.
Bobby Gill in 6th position from 26th. And yes, indeed, the two-time champ, 7-time winner last year is heading to the front. And that makes everybody else run just a little scared. Here he comes, looking to take another position away. As we approach the halfway mark, Bobby Gill's car is working as we would expect. Jay Jones, what a run for him, starting 33rd. we have become used to seeing Jabe starting in the back of the field for various reasons. He too bitten by a lot of bad luck in the 2000 year, but running this strong, just lost the position to Bobby Gill, and there's no shame in that game.
If you're going to lose a spot, losing a spot to Bobby Gill is something that you can't be ashamed of at all. Bobby Gill's been dominant in this type of racing.
When you can't join us on the air, join us online at speedvision.com and mark that to your favorite places at the top of the list.
Like Jeff Agnew got a pretty good setup after pit exchange a few laps ago. He's able to get by Marty Lindley there.
Jeff Agnew declaring himself as a driver for the Northern Series this season, and I guess Floyd, Virginia is far enough north where he'll be able to get to some of the tracks that are part of that half of the regular season. Jeff Agnew, Rookie of the Year and Series champion a couple seasons back, winning his first race of the year, however, first race of his career last season. Looking at the 139 car, Shane Sieg, he narrowly missed by Don Satterfield. And Sieg now down on the inside with Bobby Gill. Those two were racing and just missed getting hit by Satterfield. Agnew threading in between them now. Take a look at our field summary on lap 90. 10 laps to go to the halfway mark. And Stephen Christian looking good to pick up the Lucas Oil Products Halfway Leader Award. Jeff Agnew, Marty Lindley, 6th and 7th positions right now, and Bobby Gill moving to the front. We mentioned that before, and we will continue to mark that situation. Stephen Christian, our leader, so consistent, knows what it'll take to win a championship. We talked about that to him before this race even started.
I talked to somebody earlier today, and I told him we had consistency. We had the most consistent car the last 2 years in a row. The problem is we've got to put more wins to get the championship. You can finish all the laps you want, but if you're not leading and winning them, you're not going to get that championship. So we've got to do both.
Well, his 99+ percentage of lead lap finishes pales in comparison to his number of victories against Bobby Gill. They have started and entered the same number of races. Gill's lead lap percentage is a few points lower, but his winning percentage is way up there.
Steve Christian on board that number 16 that Mario Goslin vacated. Both the car owner for Steve Christian, they waited till the next to last event of the year to finally get to victory lane. And then Steve Christian wound up the year in 2000 right here at USA International Speedway by picking up his first ever win. So they've got some recent wins under their belt. Maybe they can carry that momentum to a strong run here.
Well, we talk about breakthrough victories, and it is not a myth. When you see a guy like Stephen Christian pick up a win, Jeff Agnew pick up a win, something happens to their whole program. The whole crew steps up their game a notch or two, and it is very unlikely that we will not see them in victory lane again sometime soon. Either Stephen Christian, Jeff Agnew, or any of the other drivers who picked up their victories. Here is Christian, our leader. Bobby Gill and Jeff Agnew kind of threading through the field together. They are separated by a car right now, but there's Gill as they work around the outside of the 78 of Neil Browder, who is not a lead lap car.
Bobby Gill's working on Jason Sarvis, trying to find a way around. Looks like he's going to duck to the inside. Directly ahead of Sarvis is Regan Smith.
Got a great run off the previous corner, and indeed goes down inside of the naturally fresh number 11. So Bobby Gill has made up another position on the racetrack, and Agnew looking to do the same. He's sneaking a peek down low. A little earlier on the gas, Agnew's going to take the spot too. So Gill and Agnew indeed heading to the front together. And our field summary. Christian started 5th, Goslin 1st. They're running 1 and 2 right now. Bobby Gill started in 24th position, a correction on that, and he has moved up. It's Sarvis who started in 26th. And they're well inside the top 10. Look at Jeff Agnew out of Floyd, Virginia. Again, running in the Northern Series. Team 7 Motorsports Chevrolet. Crew chief by Robert Walker.
Looks like 17-year-old Regan Smith is going to give up the spot to the veteran Bobby Gill. Looks like Gill able to get to the inside. Here comes Agnew also challenging Regan Smith.
And he gets it. Regan Smith, another one of those Rookie of the Year contenders in the 2000 season, barely old enough to drive a car legally on the street, but man, he can wheel it on the racetrack. And there is your leader, Stephen Christian. And we've got caution on the speedway right now, a problem. And it involves Stacy Puryear. And also involved in this is the 56 car of Daniel Johnson. So Puryear gets going. And our halfway leader, the 16 of Stephen Christian, takes the Lucas Oil Products Halfway Award from his own sponsor. And the crowd settling into their seats. Under caution, they'll have a chance to visit the concession stand real quick, and some of them know it. There's a guy heading that way right now. We'll be right back. You're riding along with Stephen Christian and heading for the pits here at USA International, the Naturally Fresh Foods 200, and you are among the cars who did not pit on lap number 65. These guys are coming in for the attention of their crews. A little bit different strategy for them, Gene.
It is a different strategy. They waited some 30-plus laps over the rest of the field to come down pit road. Means they're going to have fresher tires. Speaking of tires, only 8 tires allowed for the entire 200 laps. One of the cost measures in the Pro Cup Series. You got 4 tires on the car, 4 tires in the pits. That's all you can run.
Making some chassis changes too, as Regan Smith's number 28 crew got him out there pretty quickly in the RLS Structures Bob Huff Chevrolet. So he's going to be the first guy back out onto the racetrack from pit road. Now we see leader Stephen Christian gets going, and the rest begin to move too. Behind the pace car is your leader, and the leader's Bobby Gill. Our next race is at St. Augustine Speedway, March 17th, second race of the year. Leader Bobby Gill, that has a familiar ring to it, down to pit road.
Jason Sarvis, the number 11 Naturally Fresh car, in for pit stop, having trouble with the dry brake on the fuel cell. They're going for right side tires, but I'll tell you what, Jason qualified 26th and worked his way up to 4th place. These guys have come a long way. It doesn't look like they're ready to quit anytime soon.
Nice change there for Jason Sarvis and his guys. Back to the leader Bobby Gill phrase. Familiar one in Hooters Pro Cup Series. Right now, let's take a look at our Lucas Oil Products halfway recap. We'll bring you up to speed of just how Mr. Gill has become the leader of this race. We dropped the green flag for the 2001 season, and pole sitter Mario Gosselin took him away. On lap number 16, Jeremy Bowser went around to take the lead for a dozen laps or so, his first ever in Hooters Pro Cup racing. Then Bill Clemens Jr. repaid the favor and led for a while. He also led the trail down pit road on lap number 65. Staying out was Stephen Christian, who inherited the lead until this big melee that involved Bill Clemens Jr. and his buddy Brian Vickers on lap number 75. At lap number 100, Stephen Christian takes his sponsor's money for the Halfway Leader Award. And that's our halfway recap, putting us where we are right now with Bobby Gill, who started in 24th position, and Jeff Agnew, who started 6th, made their way to the front after stopping on lap number 65. Curtis Davis begins the next 5 there. And as we go back to green, it's the big green number 5 on the side of that black race car, and Bobby Gill behind the wheel. It's going to take him there.
Looks like Bobby got a pretty good jump on that restart, jumps out to about a 3-car length lead. Brian, you mentioned the 0-0 of Curtis Davis. There's a kid that led in the season concluding race here at USA International Speedway back in November. Looked like they had it all figured out, came up short. Gas mileage was their undoing that particular evening. Good to see Davis back up front, or at least making his way back to the front here as we are just past the halfway point.
The most likable bunch of young drivers that I think I've ever run into, the rookie class of 2000. And these guys are in their sophomore season, and Curtis Davis is one of them. Jeff Agnew running in 2nd position behind leader Bobby Gill, the 2-time champion.
Trouble.
And problems.
Freddie Query, the 05 car, in trouble.
The great veteran driver, Freddie Query, making his Hooters Pro Cup 2001 season debut, and he's got some heavy damage to the back end of the 05 car there. We hate to see that.
Shorten that car a bunch.
Get another look at it. There he is, all by himself up there just after the number 3 on the wall.
Looks like he may have gotten the loose stuff there, Brian.
Oh, yeah. There's the damage fluid coming out of the car. The crew going to the attention of it, and the safety crew to the attention of the track. Caution once again. Welcome back to USA International, trying to scrub in some of those fresh tires off the most recent round of pit stops. And some interesting decoration. Let's go down to David Sadowski with Freddie Query.
Freddie, that looks nasty over there. How about, you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I mean, we're just struggling along. You know, this thing happened quick, and we rebuilt this car pretty much the best we could. There were some things we didn't get to replace, and one of them was the master cylinders and the brake pedal, and something happened there. I went down in 3, and I didn't have any brakes.
This place is tough on brakes.
It is, but then again, it isn't, and that wasn't a problem. I had a mechanical failure, and that was one part of this car I didn't get to replace.
Glad you're all right.
Thank you. I am all right.
The Talmadge Motorsports Chevrolet and veteran driver Freddie Query certain to be a winning combination before this year is over. Here's a look at our top 10 guys. Mike Laughlin Jr. firmly in there, along with Martin Nesbitt. Martin moving his way up through the field now in the number 30 car, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield entry. On the restart, Bobby Gill once again with a pretty quick throttle foot there, and Jeff Agnew right behind him. Remember, those two guys came through the field together, Gene, and I think at this point it might be nice working with you, shake hands, come out fighting.
I think that's exactly what it's going to be, Brian. And if you remember, it was Bobby Gill leading the way, so Bobby's had to use all the, whoa, a little trouble off of 4 there. That looked like Mike Laughlin Jr. possibly out of shape. Check that was Huffman.
Yeah, Bobby Gill putting a lap car in between him and Agnew now. Agnew having a little bit of trouble with the car down on the inside of the racetrack there, and Bobby Gill has opened up a half dozen car lengths or so. We'll look at John Curley in the 44 car along with Shane Huffman. Huffman in the 84 and his best run in a long time, maybe ever. And John Curley with the Team Concept 2001. You know, they graduated the class of 2000. He's got a whole new crew of kids from Catawba Valley Community College, their program out there, and we're looking forward to seeing how these youngsters do.
Brian, we commented about the car down on the inside. That is Hal Goodson. And if you go back to the 2000 season, nobody has to ask any questions about who Hal Goodson is. He showed right off from the get-go that he had a strong car and a strong team. They had some problems. They broke the wheel, as we heard from Colin Engel earlier this evening. They broke a wheel, had to come down pit road. Their lap's down, but they're running with the leaders, trying to get one of those laps back.
Pair of wins and 3 pole positions for Hal Goodson. Not bad for a half a season. Our Goodyear full field rundown. A look at the top 10 and now the top 20. Jay Fogelman running there in 20th position. Haven't seen a lot of him. The 9 car of Chad Mullis also there in 23rd position too. So we'll be keeping an eye on some of these guys that we haven't either talked about or seen very much. And the list of attrition, of course, is getting a little bit longer now. Most recent addition being Freddie Query. See some of the guys that went out early, including Tom Pistone. Yes, famous name in racing, and we're seeing the grandson of Tiger Tom. An early exit for him. On board of an incident here, taking a look at an incident that almost, but did not bring out a caution. We saw the 22 car there, Del Murphy, getting a little bit loose, but everybody gathered it up and kept on rolling. Leader Bobby Gill looking awful lonesome out there right now.
Got a little company that grill work, a little piece of paper or debris has been caught in that front grill. Doesn't seem to be a major problem. Walking the grill off just a little bit, may heat the motor up a little more, but shouldn't be a problem for Bobby Gill.
Bobby Gill, one of the many cars that short pitted, we could call it that, in this race at lap number 65, while a handful of others decided to wait a bit longer. So it's going to be interesting to see how in these closing laps.
Brian, look at this 58 of Jeremy Bowser.
Yeah.
He led early on, had a great qualifying position. This car, it's destroyed. The whole right side's flapping in the breeze. He's been passing cars. He's up challenging inside the top 10 competitors, although he is a lap down.
Mostly cosmetic damage, but he is certainly aerodynamically challenged at this point. And at a relatively high-speed racetrack like USA International, that will be a compounding problem. Meanwhile, it's clean and green for the black number 5. Another look at our top 10 right now, and you can see where they started. Curtis Davis from 19th up to 5th. Derek Kelly from 27th to 6th. But of course, Bobby Gill from 24th to 1st. Just might put another Hard Charger award in his pocket before the night is over. He won 3 last year.
Continuing to look at Jeremy Bowser's car. Looks like a piece of the valence right in front of the windshield flapping around a little bit now. The officials, I'm sure, will keep an eye on that so that we don't get a caution.
Could be a safety problem there. Just ahead of him, Martin Nesbitt trying to get away from any potential difficulty there. Nesbitt in the Blue Cross Blue Shield number 30. There he is. A little bit of damage for him. The 55 car there of Lee Tissett, and we have not talked much about the Car Plus of Lenore, North Carolina entry that got to victory lane last year.
Brian, you know, I was wrong when I said that. The 58 car is in the lead lap. We check with scoring. He is in the lead lap.
And we're going to go downstairs, ski with Shane Huffman's dad.
Everett, you qualified 8th, you're up to 3rd. Your son's really jamming out front.
I didn't hear everything you said, but you're right. We're coming to 3rd. Everything's working real good. We're just riding, hoping for a good finish.
You got any bratwurst on the barbecue?
Yeah, how about that, bratwurst? Those Johnsonville bratwursts are the best ever, and that car's running just as good as they are right now.
There's no truth to the rumor that they use Johnsonville bratwurst as ballast in the car instead of lead. There's no truth to that rumor. We want to dispel it immediately. Nevertheless, the Johnsonville bratwurst entry doing very fine here. Shane Huffman with only a single top 10 finish in his career in Hooters Pro Cup racing, and he's well in place for another one. Another look at our top 10. And things here in the closing laps are likely to be changing pretty fast. Still no additional problems for the 58 of Bowser, but that car's a mess.
They're going to have a lot of work. At least they'd have a couple of weeks after this event to get ready for St. Augustine. Lee Tissett dropped a spot to Bowser. So we move back up front with Bobby Gill. Looks like he's got that car on cruise control.
Well, you know, when Bobby Gill gets his car out in front and it's working as well as it is right now, he can put it on cruise control. He is so good behind the wheel of that car. On board looks right now. Here's Jason Sarvis, who started in 26th, running 14th. We heard from his crew a while ago with David Sadowski down on pit road. Stephen Christian, who came in the later round of pit stops, gave up the lead and is in 13th position. Up front is Bobby Gill. We got problems again, and this time it's the 83 car that's gone around. Keith Woody.
Looks like he's made significant contact with the right side of that race car. Brian, the right front looks like the upper control arm may be caved in on the 83 for Woody.
Bassett Fiber, entry number 83, and we'll get another look at it. Oh, steady it up, and the damage has already been done as he was into the wall.
Buggy Pletcher, he had an eye full coming off the corner.
So the crew of the 83 car is going to go to work on Keith Woody's machine, and we'll be right back. Oh, no. The Naturally Fresh Foods 200 at USA International here in Lakeland, Florida is getting down the money laps. And the crowd knows it here. We've got a little bit of activity down on pit road under this most recent caution. And you can see that Keith Woody's BASF Bassett Fibers crew are among the guys working awful hard. Let's go down to David Sadowski, the crew chief of the 73 car.
Robert, long way to hoe up here to the front. About 65 laps remaining. You guys are looking good up front.
Well, right now the car's pretty good. It's decent on long runs. Bobby, he's got a good car. We beat him a lap and he'll beat us a lap, but we're going to try to hold there with him toward the end. I hope it works out. It's a long way to go yet.
Jeff's having to defend the inside where Bobby's out front using the wall, using all the racetrack on the way in. How much is that hampering your speed?
Well, it's just a tick loose right now, and if we have to go inside, it makes it a little bit looser where we can just let it float outside when it's loose like that, and it makes it run a little faster on the outside, but I don't know, it's a long way to go, so it's a shootout.
You got your toes crossed inside your shoes, don't you?
I hope so.
All right, Robert Walk visiting Victory Lane with Jeff Agnew for the first time in the 2000 season, and here are the handsome guys behind the wheel, as we're fond of saying, in the top 10 drivers. Stephen Christian in 10th position. Of course, he one of those who pitted just recently. As Bobby Gill and Jeff Agnew take them back to the green flag with just over 60 laps remaining in the race now. Back downstairs to ski.
Ronnie, I understand you got some fresh tires on that car. You might have an advantage over second.
Well, I don't know how much of an advantage we got. Those guys are great racers. We're really going to be on top of the game down running, but Shane's doing a great job with the Johnsonville car. We're going to give it our best shot.
You got about 20 laps fresher tires, I understand.
We do have fresher tires. We're going to see what we got.
Now, Jeannie's talking 20 laps fresher. He was one of the few that stopped just after the red flag situation, along with Buggy Pletcher, and changed tires. That came at around, well, laps in the 80s. So he's about 20 laps fresher than the ones who stopped early on lap 62 to 65.
He gave up a little track position. Fortunately, the big crash had already happened. That was behind him, so he didn't have any damage. So he's got a pretty good shot here. 20 laps, fresher tires. It should make a difference when we get down to 190, 195 with that 5 lap to go signal coming up on the board.
Another look at Mario Gosselin, the pole sitter for this race. And the man who has earned twice as many poles as the next highest total. And once again from on board with Jason Sarvis in the Naturally Fresh Foods car, looking over the deck lid there.
Looking at Mario Gosselin.
Lots of activity on the racetrack and some close quarters racing going on here as laps are winding down.
It's amazing how big this racetrack is and how little of the racetrack they want to race on. They get them all bunched up together. Everybody likes riding tight, so it would seem, and we've seen that become a disaster from time to time. Good speed shot here, showing the cars off of turn 4. Goslin's car looks like he's got it on cruise control right now, but we saw him up front earlier in the night. He's outside the top 5. Again, Curtis Davis, Marty Lindley, they're 4th and 5th. The top 3, though, are just pulling away.
Good run for Curtis Davis, again coming off some momentum from last season. Those breakthrough performances are so much in evidence here tonight and throughout the racing season. If you get it done once, you can get it done again.
Marty Lindley proved that last year. Went to victory lane not once but twice early in the 2000 season. He's looking to start once again.
We're going to have problems out here on the racetrack, and it's the 81 car this time. Scott York in the Oakwell Incorporated Chevrolet up against the wall, tail end first. And we are going to be under caution once again here at Lakeland.
We'll be right back with more of the Naturally Fresh Foods 200.
Still under caution here, but not for long at Lakeland, Florida's USA International for the Naturally Fresh Foods 200. And you won't see these guys on America's Most Wanted unless you're looking for race car drivers. The top 10 of the race here tonight. Derek Kelly running in 6th position there in that 21 car. Of course, he's got a lot of fans in the stands here at Lakeland, nearby Auburndale, Florida, just a stone's throw away. The green flag flying once again, and Bobby Gill with Jeff Agnew and Shane Huffman, the top 3. Down on the inside, Hal Goodson still running hard, even though he's down a lap from some early difficulties. And the rest of the field stretched out there. The 55 of Lee Tissett, a glimpse of him. Yes, they go awful fast here down the straightaways at USA International. Agnew having a little shove on Gill there.
Let's update the reason for the most recent caution. Understand the 58 of Jeremy Bowser exploded a motor, and that is what caused the 81 of Scott York to get into the wall. So that was the result of a good run. Has now gone bad.
Yep, our man down in the pits, David Sadowski, passing on the information. A blown motor and oil on the track is what caused our caution. Tissett running in 10th position. Regan Smith is there with him. Our Goodyear full field rundown. Mike Laughlin Jr. in the 7 car. And crew chiefed by Scott Sutherland, who was with Stephen Christian last year. Stacy Puryear in the 92, we saw him with problems. Toby Robertson running in 20th position in that number 23 car. We talked about him a little bit earlier in the TWR Racing Chevrolet out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Billy Mowry, Joe Harrison Jr., Brent Sherman, some of the attrition.
Brian up front watching Jeff Agnew. Agnew's car is working on the bottom of the racetrack. As I say, that looks like Bobby Gill's car pushes up in the middle of the corner. Agnew has got a run on Bobby Gill off of turn 2. We've got quite a battle down into the corner. It looks like Agnew is going to take the spot.
Well, he's nosed out in front. Whether he'll be scored as the official leader of this lap, yep, that's going to happen too. As he comes across the stripe in the lead, so Jeff Agnew is now credited with leading a lap in the 2001 season. And he stretched out a car length on Bobby Gill. Shane Huffman sees maybe it can be done. What's he going to do?
Watching Gill's car in the corner. This time he keeps the car down on the bottom. For the last 3 or 4 turns, that car has drifted up at least a car width in the corner. Right in the middle of the corner, looks like he's got to push. And that's going to make it harder to get back up front and get around Jeff Agnew.
Looking Stephen Christian and the 30 car right behind him of Mark Nesbitt. Now we're on board with Christian in 7th position. As we look at our field summary, Curtis Davis in the 00 car running in 5th place still.
A little rubbing racing between Laughlin and Sarvis. Sarvis is going to get the spot. Del Murphy showing some damage on the rear quarter panel right behind that battle.
Christian and Kelly running at 7th and 6th positions respectively. The 11 car of Sarvis. We've seen some good onboard looks off the back end of his car throughout this race. And if we were to see one right now, we'd be getting a camera full of Mike Laughlin Jr.'s Carolina Kit car number 7. Your leaders now have swapped spots. Jeff Agnew is the leader and Bobby Gill runs in 2nd position. These two guys have been a great team throughout the early stages of the race. Now they're settling down to decide this one perhaps. Curtis Davis and the 16, Stephen Christian. And we're looking at the 00 of Curtis Davis from on board with Stephen. And once again, a look at the 00 of Curtis Davis and a little tap from Stephen Christian. Derek Kelly's coming with him, and Kelly, who's familiar with this territory, had some thoughts about running the first race of the year here.
Well, when you're running a series like this, there's a lot of fierce competitors here, and some of these guys we don't know. So when it comes to the first race of the year, what I try to do is learn the drivers. There's a lot of rookies in this, and I learned that in the first year that I run this, they nicknamed me the Dismount Auto Parts car because I dismount a lot of parts. And hopefully I learned something I could pass along to those other rookies that before you can win one, you have to learn how to finish them.
Well, I tell you, Derek Kelly, I've watched this guy not only in the Pro Cup Series but also in late models. He's had cars completely disintegrate down the backstretch, the whole body fly off a race car. That nickname was earned, but he's done that sponsor very well indeed, as he has been to victory lane twice here at USA.
Stephen Christian and Marty Lindley running one behind the other right now. Christian with some ground to make up. Lindley losing a spot up on the high side of the racetrack as Derek Kelly comes underneath. Let's see if he's going to take that spot for good. He's got position in the middle of the corner as we go back to our leaders now, Jeff Agnew and Bobby Gill.
Bobby Gill, looking at the separation that we see right now, only a car length between those two. Don't know if he had a handling problem or maybe he was just trying to save the tires, not abuse the tires, and save something for a final run to the checkers. Sarvis working on Goslin as we go back to Stephen Christian.
Watching Sarvis and Goslin side by side, but David Sadowski's with the crew chief on the 00 car. Curtis Davis running in the top 5.
Ron, up to 5th place. He qualified kind of mid-pack here. Have you got it to the finish?
Yeah, we kind of didn't qualify like we thought we should have, but it is our backup car. We lost the motor, our primary car. And I think it's running pretty good right now. We did 2 tires, hoping we make the end. We ran here later in the season last year for that last race and ran pretty good and run out of fuel, unfortunately. And I don't think we'll do that tonight. We kind of learned our lesson, I hope. And he's doing a good job. If they just had a big name on the side of that car, we'd be doing pretty good. We'd be sporty.
Well, Curtis Davis, like a lot of others, looking for that sponsorship that'll help him make the next step up to being a consistent winner. Of course, Bobby Gill also, his car is not notably sponsored, and he'll be the first one to tell you that he kind of runs it on his own budget. But when you make over $500,000 in prize money over a couple of seasons, you know, you can pay for a lot of parts yourself. So a lot of interested crew members looking on right now as we take another look at the faces behind the wheel in the top 5. Naturally Fresh Foods 200 continuing under green here at Lakeland, Florida, with leader Jeff Agnew, followed by 2nd place Bobby Gill. 25 laps to go from the finish.
Looks like both cars starting to skate around just a little bit. Bobby Gill, though, has not let Jeff Agnew get away after Agnew was able to sneak downstairs several laps back and take over that lead spot.
Glimpse of our USAR rundown and of the number 55 car of Lee Tissett there a moment ago, but Agnew and Gill running very well together. They have worked together just about throughout this race, but the feeling that the gloves are going to come off here soon is starting to creep up on me.
There may be a few bumper covers coming off as well. Looks like Bobby Gill again trying to look to the inside of Agnew. Jeff Agnew taking a very cautious line, keeping that car planted all the way down to the bottom of the track. Both cars slipping just a bit as they come up off the corners.
Look at Chad Mullis and Jay Fogelman going at it here in 15th position. The 9 car of Mullis out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Mullis drilling service car, and Fogelman, of course, has been a frequent visitor and a regular on the Hooters Pro Cup Series. There is Stacy Puryear, the 92 car, and the driver that was the pole sitter here a year ago. And back to our leaders now, Agnew and Gill. And they are pretty closely matched at this point in the race as we take a look at our Goodyear full field rundown. Derek Kelly rounding out the top 5. Curtis Davis sliding back into 6th position, and Jason Sarvis in 10th with Marty Lindley 9th. Regan Smith, Mario Goslin, the pole sitter, running in 12th. Mike Laughlin Jr. a spot behind him. Toby Robertson in 20th position there. Daniel Johnson in the 56 car doing a good job. John Curley's 44 sponsored here tonight by Save Our Everglades Sugar. We'll be seeing a lot of different sponsors on that car. Keith Woody's 83 and 29th position, being credited with that position after difficulty here. Crew chief on the 73 car, Robert Walk, with something to say about how things are going.
Robert, looks like crossing your toes is working. Well, so far right now, but Bobby Gill, he's a KGO veteran. He's been around a long time. I just hope he ain't sizing us up, setting us up for the kill at the end.
Bobby Gill has got a strong race car, but Jeff Agnew, and we mentioned it earlier, once they changed that front clip, everything turned around for the team, and they have been running strong ever since Greenville Pickens last year back in September. Agnew would like to put a second win in the bank. He's been up front at this track before and had it all go away. He'd like to bring it home here tonight.
Bobby Gill with more than one win for sure, 7 in the 2000 season alone. And he's taking a little bit of a look inside, dives down low going into the next corner. He's got the track position behind John Curley's 44. Let's see who's going to give up first here. Is Gill going to get through on the inside, or is Agnew going to box him in? Curley moves down, opens the door. They're going to go 3 wide for a moment, but Agnew retains the front position. So Jeff Agnew holding off the charge of Bobby Gill. For the time being, we would have to say, you know, he's going to try it again. And Jeff Agnew, our leader right now, of course, one of those drivers who declared himself to run for the Northern Series this year, and we'll see how that works out.
I've heard it's awful cold up north, but we're going to go up and try it this year. Get to see a lot of new country and get to see a lot of new tracks. That's what it's all about. It makes you better, you know. You just travel around some, and you know, it's a good deal.
Tell me about winning the rookie championship. Is it a springboard into bigger and better things for you?
Well, you would think so. You know, we won the rookie title and the championship that year, and you would think it would springboard you up, but. You know, this is a good little series. I'll stay here forever. I mean, it's a good bunch of people here, and the money's good, so just let it rip.
Brent Sherman in the Serta Mattress number 18, the only true Northern driver from Illinois. Then you go to Joe Harrison Jr. and Jeff Agnew from Virginia and West Virginia, respectively. They are about as close to the Northern Series as you can get geographically. USARProCup.com, another one of those spots you want to earmark on your favorite places list. Visit often and let us know what you think. Send us an email. We'll get back to you. Criticisms, comments, whatever you got for us. As Bobby Gill now moves down inside. We knew another move was coming. Let's see if this one works. No traffic in the way this time.
Looks like he set Jeff Agnew up very nicely, got to the inside, and right now has got a nose out front as they exit turn 2. Bobby Gill downstairs. Little contact. Agnew coming down the racetrack. Looking like he got into the right rear quarter panel of Bobby Gill, but they continue on without incident. Bobby Gill, a new leader up front.
And Gill has come from 24th position, a little loose there in the middle of the straightaway as they dive into the next corner. He opens up some room. Jeff Agnew trying to gather himself up for another charge, and Gill with a terrific move to get the lead. And in the closing laps here, you know he's going to make that number 5 car, even though it isn't a Pontiac, he's going to make it as wide as possible. Agnew comes inside, makes contact, but loses a couple of car lengths.
That cost Jeff Agnew considerably. He had to roll off the throttle, gather the car up to keep from knocking down the outside wall out of turn 4, and he's dropped back some 4 car lengths to Bobby Gill as they work off of turn 2.
Derek Kelly from 27th to 5th, almost as good as 24th to the lead for Bobby Gill. As we look at our USAR field summary, Shane Huffman running in 3rd position. Bobby Gill, the leader, out in front right now, and Agnew trying to come back on him.
Doesn't appear that Jeff's got anything for Bobby Gill.
Now, we mentioned a couple of torn up race cars out there. Carolina Kit Cars has actually come up with what they call the Crunch Award for the cars that are torn up and have to get ready for the next race. A product certificate that's going to help them do that. Right now, the leading candidate, Joe Harrison Jr. in the 57 car, with a nod to the 05 of Freddie Query, but Harrison's car was torn up on both ends.
We've seen Jeremy Bowser's car torn up tonight. 51 of Buggy Pletcher hits walking around, kind of wounded out there on the track, trying to make it to the finish. Several cars showing some damage. Even our leader, Bobby Gill, he's got a big donut right there on that big number 5.
Oh, that hardly counts for a Crunch Award from Carolina Kit Cars.
But it was exciting.
Yeah, we will give an honorable mention, though, to Bowser. His car was torn up pretty bad and flapping in the breeze. He's doing pretty well in spite of it. Now Bobby Gill quickly gets around the 23 car of Toby Robertson, and that's going to put a lap car in between him and the runner-up right now.
It's like Bobby was playing possum back there, just sizing up Agnew, and Agnew's crew's fear did come through.
Yeah, Bobby Gill out front. We got problems on the racetrack right now, and this caution brought out by the number 86 car of rookie Chris Gordon is certainly going to help Jeff Agnew. That'll close the gap that he lost there with that kind of ill-fated move. And now Agnew is going to get from a caution flag what he could not do himself. They're going to be nose to tail for a shootout finish here when we come back. Now that Bobby Gill is in the front and in control of this race, he's got some happy crewmen downstairs.
Brian back with Edward Johnson. We got 3 laps to go here. Will maybe be a sprint to the finish.
I'll tell you, yeah, it definitely is. 73 Agnew, he's been driving, hard. He's putting the championship driving. Bobby, he's just driving his off right now. I tell you, this whole crew and the effort that Bobby's put in, that's what he's instilled in us, and he is one class act championship driver. I think we can hold him off for 3 more laps here to go, and was lucky enough to avoid one big wreck. And Deuce is up there cheering him on. I tell you, he's on the radio with him, just go, 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 as hard as he can go. And I tell you, I just want to thank this whole team, and again, Automotive Specialists, XR1, and Mac Tools, and again, just our prayers for Dale Earnhardt. And thanks USAR Speedway and this whole group, Speed Vision. Just thank everybody.
Edward, we're going to be seeing you again. Don't worry.
I'll tell you, you're going to see a lot of this car all year long. Hopefully, we can win 20 races.
Edward Johnson's hat and his words, of course, for Dale Earnhardt, and the tribute that the drivers paid at the beginning of this race with pole sitter Mario Gosselin dropping back, leaving the pole position open. All honors for the fallen 7-time Winston Cup champion. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, along with the entire racing community, are with his friends and family as we look at our top 10 drivers here and prepare for a shootout at USA International. Coming to the green flag, Bobby Gill, the cagey veteran. Jeff Agnew with a few tricks up his sleeve too. And let's not forget about Shane Huffman right there, poised to strike should either of them falter. But the guy who really got a jump was the 16 there of Stephen Christian.
Look at Agnew, he dove to the inside of Bobby Gill, couldn't get it done. Christian on the outside is going to make a run at Agnew over in turn 3.
And Christian has come from 18th position about 90 laps ago when he pitted up to this position right now to contend for the lead. White flag, final lap, and Christian's going to go into second position. Maybe. No, Agnew fights back on the inside and holds on to it. But in the final lap, their little fender rubbing allows Bobby Gill to open up a couple of car lengths, and that means that Bobby Gill, barring any kind of mistake, is going to take the first race of the season and pick right up where he left off. Bobby Gill, the winner here at USA International in the Naturally Fresh Foods 200. So Edward Johnson and the whole 5 crew are celebrating. Dues up on top of the hauler, probably just jumped 4 feet in the air. And we'll hear from those guys at Victory Lane in just a moment when we come back. There's your winner. The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series is brought to you by Hooters Restaurants. Hooters, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. By Naturally Fresh Dressings. It's not just our name, it's our promise. By Jackaroo Sauces. Jackaroo tastes so great they named a steakhouse after us. By Miller Lite, the great taste of a true Pilsner beer. And by Lucas Oil Products, the official lubricant of USAR, and a worldwide leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants. Well, we're at the time in a race evening when you want to be a guest on the David Sadowski portion of the program. Here's Ski.
Bobby, excellent run. Qualified 24th, no big deal. You had 200 laps to get the job done.
Yeah, we did. I tell you, that first 20, 50 laps here was pretty rough back there. We got the side knocked off, quarter panels. Car's a little looser, so we pulled spring rubber out there when we pitted. And the car was pretty good there. It got looser at the end. Jeff got by me. Jeff's a heck of a racer. He gave me room. I gave him room. And he kept getting looser and looser off, and I was a little bit looser, so I just got in the gas a little slower and got underneath him there.
Well, you made us run back between the pit areas between Agnew's and yours. It was hard to tell who was going to put. You didn't push him that hard the last 25 laps, but about 10 to go, you put the heat on.
Well, my car started overheating there. I got to 240, and I see him started getting looser and looser in traffic. We caught up with some traffic there, and that slowed us down. Then that last restart, I missed third gear there and about lost the thing right there.
Great run.
Thank you.
So Bobby Gill just trying to save his engine. That's why he took the lead in the win here, getting out in this cool air. Take a look at the race results from here at USA International, the Naturally Fresh Foods 200. Bobby Gill, Jeff Agnew, Stephen Christian are going to get most of the honors here tonight, but hats off to Shane Huffman and Derek Kelly as well for their top 5 finishes. And take a look, Curtis Davis there gets a finish that eluded him last time they were at USA International. Lee Tissett in 11th position. Jay Fogelman there, Marty Lindley, Stacy Puryear recovered from some incidents, and the rest. We hope you see the name of your favorite driver. And 20 cars finished on the lead lap here at USA International. I think that's a tribute to the fact that they dropped the laps down to 200 from 250. We saw some good, clean, tight, hard, fast racing tonight, Gene.
Saw some cars torn up as well, but there's plenty of time to get those cars repaired. Happy to say that no one injured in any of those accidents, so a little bit of pride damage, but they'll get that all fixed when we go back to St. Augustine.
And our race results finish, of course, with Neil Cox and Tom Pistone, 2 of the earliest guys out of the race. Back down to Ski now with Jeff Agnew.
Jeff, you had us running back and forth between the pit areas. We didn't know what crew to shoot for the celebration. That was a great run at the end.
Yeah, we had a really good car. I'd like to thank Billy Hess. Them Hess clips is doing a super job for us. You know, we put them on 6 or 7 weeks left in the last year's season, and we really run great. Like to throw a thanks out to Don Kowalski, my co-owner Eddie Asbury. But the race tonight, you know, we got a little bit free before I ever passed Bobby. I radioed in and said that didn't think there was anything we could do with him because we done got so free. But I don't know if he just let us go by to see if, you know, what was going on. Or
he said his car started to overheat behind you, and that's when he put the pressure on to get out in the clean air. But your speed into turn 1 was just incredible.
Well, our car was running good, like I said, but it just got just a tick too loose. We had tightened it up at halfway, and we didn't tighten it up enough. But hey, that's the way it goes. I'd like to congratulate Bobby and done a heck of a job. And my guys, they done a super good job. I mean, it's all about getting in and out of them pits, and they done a good job in the pits tonight. And I'd like to say, I think we may have us a sponsor. We've run for about 3 or 4 years now without really a true sponsor, and NGA Golf Tour, Hooters Tour is talking to us now, so maybe all this will turn out real good.
Hard work pays off, buddy. Great show.
That's for sure. Thanks.
All right, some good news coming out of the Jeff Agnew camp as Bobby Gill poses for the official photographs. We're going to pay tribute to our hard charger for tonight, Chad Mullis, from 34th to 10th. Now, Bobby went from 24th to 1st, but that's not quite as good. And, of course, our standings in the points are going to reflect the order of finish here tonight. Keep in mind that any Northern Series drivers take points away from Southern Series drivers, and those points are not awarded.
Stephen, great run to the front. You had a lot of work cut out for you. A lot of adversity out there on the racetrack tonight.
I tell you, there's 22 cars or something like that on the lead lap at the end of the show for the first race. That's saying a lot. These guys put on a heck of a show tonight. Lucas Oil Products car was super good. I tell you, we pitted, I think, at the right time. I think you had to do it over. You do the same thing. We had a long line to come back through. The car was super. Haskell, the guys in the crew, Irmo Grading, got to thank you guys. This is a way to kick off this new group. We're looking forward to Super Year.
Well, congratulations to Stephen Christian for his job well done here, too. And to Jason Sarvis, our Miller Lite Rookie of the Race, from 26th to a 7th place finish. Nice job in the Naturally Fresh Foods car. And our rookie standings, of course, will be topped by Jason Sarvis, with Del Murphy in the Jackaroo Sauces car in 2nd position. These guys have a tough act to follow, though, Gene. The rookie class of 2000 was mighty good.
They were very good, but I got a feeling the 2001 class, the entire group, is really going to put on a show when we see them get cranked up at St. Augustine.
We're looking forward to the 2nd race of the season, and we hope you are too. Our congratulations to Bobby Gill for his first win of the year. There should be more. Speedvision.com is where you can find us. Racing Electronics is how we get most of our good information from down on pit road and from the crews out there. There's a look at the trophy. And of course our thanks to Mark McGinn and Onboard Images for all the great looks from inside the race cars. Bobby Gill wearing the big smile and carrying the winner's check. That makes him smile every time. My thanks to my partner, Gene Crane, and to all of you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Until then, I'm Brian Thread.